Welcome to the Old Coins Explorer, the ultimate treasure hunt. Here we are exploring the hidden secrets about old and valuable coins. Did you know that the British 10 pence coin, first minted in 1968, wasn't just a new coin? It was a symbol of a revolution in the UK's monetary system. Before 1968, British currency followed a complex, centuries-old system of pounds, shillings, and pence. But the arrival of the 10p coin marked the beginning of something entirely new, a smooth and systematic shift to decimal currency. And leading the way was this very coin, the first ever to show Britons what their financial future would look like. The 1968 British Decimal 10p coin was more than just a shiny new piece of metal. It was the very first decimal coin to be introduced into circulation, 2 whole years before decimalization officially took effect in 1971. And why? The government wanted people to get used to the new system gradually. Imagine holding that coin for the first time, looking at its unfamiliar value, and wondering how it would change your day-to-day transactions. It was a coin of the future, released into a world still clinging to the past. At 11.31 grams and 28.5 millimeters in diameter, the 1968 10 pence coin was actually modeled after the older florin coin, which had been worth 2 shillings. So, this wasn't a totally new invention out of thin air. It was designed to feel familiar, easing people into a system they'd never used before. The coin was struck in cupronickel, a blend of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it that silvery shine and durability that helped it last decades in circulation. But if you flip over that shiny surface, you'll discover something regal. The reverse of the coin proudly features a crown lion passant, a powerful and majestic symbol of British identity, strength, and sovereignty. This bold lion had been lifted directly from the royal crest of England, giving the coin not just monetary value, but symbolic weight. The inscription New Pence, in all capital letters, arcs above the lion, while the denomination 10 sits neatly below it. To many, it was just a number, but to historians and collectors, that New Pence mark makes it part of a very short and specific historical window. Turn the coin over, and you'll see an image of Queen Elizabeth II, captured in a young and confident portrait by Arnold Machin, one of the most famous coin portrait sculptors in British history. The inscription around her reads, Elizabeth II DG Reg, FD, short for Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, Latin for by the grace of God, Queen Defender of the Faith. This title wasn't just ceremonial. It tied her directly to a long line of monarchs and the country's religious and constitutional identity. With this image, the coin connects the new decimal age with the ancient traditions of monarchy. Now here's a twist most people don't know. Although the 10p coin was released in 1968, it wasn't truly decimal in practice until 3 years later. So, for a while, the coin coexisted in an odd limbo, legal tender in a country still mostly using shillings and pence. Imagine walking into a bakery in 1969 and handing over a 10p coin. Some shopkeepers understood. Others stared at it like it had dropped from a spaceship. Decimalization required education, leaflets, TV ads, even public school lessons to get people ready. The 10p was the advanced scout, and it had a heavy job to do. And it worked. By 1971, when Decimal Day, or D-Day as they called it, finally arrived, millions of Britons were already familiar with the coin. The 1968 10p had done its duty. It had introduced the decimal age smoothly, with minimal chaos. But here's where things get exciting for collectors. The 1968 10p was only minted in relatively limited numbers compared to later coins. It's not the rarest coin ever, but in top condition, it can fetch several pounds, even tens of pounds depending on grade and mint luster. Why? Because it marks the beginning of modern British coinage. It's the pioneer, the original. And every collection that celebrates British currency history isn't complete without it. There's also the collector's intrigue of the New Pence inscription. From 1968 to 1981, all 10p coins carried the New Pence wording. But from 1982 onward, the inscription was changed to 10 pence, a subtle but meaningful shift. Why? Because by then, decimalization had fully settled. The new was no longer needed. It's a small detail, but numismatists cherish those changes, because they signal changing eras. Another important note, the 1968 10p coin was large-sized, part of the original decimal coin set. But by 1992, the coin was completely redesigned and significantly reduced in size to make coins lighter and more manageable. This means the 1968 version is part of a now extinct format, adding even more historical value. If you have a 1968 10p coin in your drawer, it's not just old change. It's part of a major British transformation, socially, culturally, and financially. And when you think of how smoothly decimalization rolled out compared to other countries' currency reforms, the 10p coin stands tall as a reason why. So how do you identify if you have a valuable 1968 10p coin? First, check its condition. If it's almost uncirculated or in mint state, with full shine and no wear, it's already collectible. Next, check for die errors. Although rare, misstrikes and variations in minting can dramatically increase a coin's value. And lastly, always check the provenance. Coins from original mint packs or proof sets are usually worth more. So the next time you see a 10 pence coin, especially one from 1968, don't just pass it off as old pocket change. Hold it a moment longer. Look at that lion. See the Queen's youthful portrait. Feel the legacy it carries. Because in a world that's constantly changing, it's those little things, those everyday objects, that quietly tell the biggest stories.